Starting take two in 3, 2, 1, go! Well, welcome to Take Two, folks, right here on the Voices on the Net network. Appreciate all of you taking the time to tune into the program as Ronnie and I have returned for yet another episode of the show. And literally, we are right around the bend from the next mini milestone. We're going to get Ronnie announcing that episode number as she does at the beginning of every show in just a bit. Plus, giving you everything we're going to be talking about. You know, we give you a new itinerary each and every episode, all for you, the great listeners. But hey, Ronnie, how are you?
I'm great. Once I got the PM and the AM figured out,
yeah,
better.
Well, yeah, I know. You kind of overslept a little bit, didn't you?
Just a tad.
Yeah. Well, we'll go into everything. Clearly, we have a lot to talk about. So let's not waste any time or much time. I have to get this out of the way first. So, if those of you tuned in would be so kind, would you please visit www.theonthenet.com. That is right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the great listeners, will be able to find more information pertaining to the Voices on the Net Network. All you need to do is go up to the top of the website where you will see an About link. You click it, it will take you to a web page providing you everything you need to know regarding the Voices on the Net network in thorough detail. Yep. You'd also check out podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. Yeah, they're all there. Last time I checked, they're all there for you. You could check everything out by going to www.theonthenet.com. So yeah, I believe we are literally one away from the next mini milestone, if I'm not mistaken. But you'd be able to solidify that fact because you've got the episode number, right? You have it.
Yes, I do.
Where are we at currently, Ronnie?
Episode 269.
269. There you have it, folks. Literally one away from the next mini milestone. Not too far away from episode number 300. It's just astonishing. Astonishing to say that, isn't it?
I know.
So,
300, can you believe that? Yes, we can.
I can believe it, but it's surreal because we're approaching it. If you were to go back to episode 4 and say 300, it'd be way off because that's, episode 4 or 5 or 6, and then going into the future to episode 300. Wow. That is a long way off. Not so much anymore, though.
I know. We've said that every time we hit, we were at 50, we thought 100 was a way off. 150, right. 200.
Yeah.
We already passed the 200 mark.
We are. And just every episode has been great. And I continue to look forward to future episodes. I really do. So it's a pleasure to be by your side. All right. We've been talking about this for a couple of shows. We have. It's kind of hard not to. Literally every show. Everybody's talking about it. Clearly, we're still here. The end of the world did not happen. Nope, it didn't. But apparently the rapture did happen. Remember back on episode number 268, we were talking about how we hadn't heard from Harold Camping. It's like he was hiding under a rock. Well, he's come up from underneath that rock and is, stating how he made a mistake. He admitted he made a mistake. But apparently the world is still going to end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But on October 21st, 2011. Now, This had been in the cards. He had brought up October 21st. He just stated that if those that did survive the rapture were not saved on that day, May 21st, we would have to endure earthquakes and fireballs and just massive destruction. God would put us through pain and suffering on this earth until October 21st. Well, he states that God has spared us that destruction and that the world will end on October 21st, 2011.
He spared us.
Yeah.
Look at the tornadoes and what we've got going on and how many people are dying thus far, and he spared us.
Yeah.
I didn't think so.
I know there are a lot of things happening, yes. There are earthquakes, there are storms, there's flooding, there's wars. But listen, if it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand there have been worse wars. Every war is bad, but there have been worse wars in our history.
Yeah.
You want to go back to Vietnam, for gosh sakes. There have been wars that may have not been on the same level media-wise as the Vietnam War, but they've still been bloody and horrible. They're all horrible, but we could talk about that right there. Also, storms. Come on. I understand we're going through rough patches, flooding, storms, but there have been even stronger storms that have gone on in the past. Talk about the Joplin tornado killing over 100 people. What about the tri-state, the tri-state storm that killed over 690, I believe, over 690 people. So clearly, we've had to endure the unfortunate scenarios that surround these storms and the wars and so forth. So that's going to happen. That's going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. But this guy seems to think, he would make a great weatherman because you can make a prediction, not get it right, and still have a job and not have to hide for a couple of days to come up with a different story. That's where he needs to be. But now I think maybe this area is just not quite his field. But still people are following him, and some have stopped, of course. I don't know what woke them up. Was it because they woke up and they had no job? I don't know. Right. And now he's come up with this new theory, although it was pertaining to the same one as before, but now he just kind of ad-libs with it as it goes on.
Well, I don't know
if that one fails. We always got December.
Right. The thing is, he took some time, I think it was like a little over a day, to really come out from underneath his rock and laid us with another story because he had to come up with something, clearly. And he had paperwork in front of him when the press was questioning him. They asked if he would apologize. He did. He said, well, if you want me to apologize, I'll apologize. I'm just going by what the Bible says. Well, you've been wrong every time, Harold.
Yeah.
Every time. So I guess I continue with my theory, since we're talking about theories here, that if you predict enough days, I guess you're bound to get at least one correct. Yeah. Why don't you just predict? Why don't Ronnie and I just right now, we just out of the blue, pick a date, random date. When is the world gonna end? Pick one. Just pick out of your head. Just the first thing that comes to your mind.
April 15th, 2025. There we go.
I'm gonna pick. I'm gonna pick my birthday, July 27th, 2015. I'm gonna just randomly. All right. So. We'll keep those randomly out of the blue. Those of you that are tuned in, pick a random date in the chat room. Come on. Just pick one. Out of the first thing that comes to your mind. Random date. One of us bound to get it right, I guess, right? It's like the lottery. Tell you.
Yep. If Vegas was just nearby, we could just make all kinds of bets.
Exactly. I wanted to go into that just briefly. That's not going to be the official open there. I've got something else that I want to talk about, and this has to do with the field that I'm in, actually. But I did want to get out this information, the news that has to do with Harold camping. Seeing that back on episode number 68, we talked about how we hadn't heard from him. Well, we have, and I wanted to get that out for those of you listening. All right, the voiceover industry, Ronnie. You know that I'm a voiceover artist.
Yes.
I love the voiceover industry. I think it's a great industry, and I really put my heart and soul into every project I voice. I do. I like to be as artistic as I can. I do. I like to be unique. Improvisation also plays a major role. Sure, there are scripts involved, but improvisation plays a part because you may not like a specific word in the script, or you may have something that you think of while you're voicing the project that comes to mind, and you add it into the audio file. So we're going to get into this here. Celebrities, though. And we talk about how celebrities voice certain characters in animated movies, and you notice that celebrities are voicing commercials, too. Well, if you've been noticing, more and more celebrities are joining the animation environment. If you've been noticing, Johnny Depp was the chameleon in Rango. We know that. Yeah. Anne Hathaway played a parrot. Jack Black played a panda. Katy Perry turned into a Smurf. So these A-list celebs, actors, actresses, singers, and so forth, they're voicing animated characters. They're voicing commercials. Why all of a sudden have they decided to delve into this? Well, there are a few theories here. Clearly, if an A-list actress, actor, or a celebrity in general is behind the voice of a character or a commercial, you're probably going to tune in more because, I've heard that voice before. It's going to engage you. They may not necessarily be as proficient as a professional voiceover artist, and that's where I'm going to come in. But I want to hear what you have to say here, Ronnie, and about celebrity voiceovers. And what do you usually think when you hear your favorite actor or your favorite actress voicing a character in a movie? What do you usually think?
Well, first, when I go there, that's probably the reason why I go to watch him. Like with Robin Williams, Aladdin.
Exactly.
I couldn't wait to see that because I watched him in different shows and stuff, and I was a fan of his, and I wanted to see how he was going to converge, being on the screen and in person versus behind a tune. But now it seems technology has moved to so far advanced, especially in cinematography, where they can actually make the tunes look like the character. If it wasn't for him being in that one, or if let's just say that it was the same movie and they put somebody else in there, a known name that we didn't know who it was, we wouldn't have gone to see that. It's if you look at Walt Disney when they first started out, they had the no names that did the Mickey Mouse and all the other the actors that were on there, but we didn't know who they were. It just basically drew children. It didn't draw adults to go see it. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't entertaining. But now that you bring in these top name individuals that are able to transverse from the screen versus to a tune behind a character, that I enjoy because now I can go and watch. And there's some actors that you hear their voice, you try to figure out who they are. It's really impressive how, especially when you talk about Johnny Depp, look what he did. He was able to utilize, and he would sit there behind there and bring his own self into these tunes. And he actually prepared all the other actors they were all in the same room, all at the same time, and transformed these tunes into real life people that we could actually identify with, even though they're just tunes on a screen. But yet it kind of it's still there for the kids, but yet it brought animation back to, the adult scene. Right.
You bring up some great points, but this is also where professional voiceover artists, professional voice talent are upset. They're upset with this because they feel, and I guess I shouldn't say we feel, although I may not be 100% on the same page as the professional voiceover talents that have to say what I'm about to bring up here, but they feel that professional actors and actresses or celebrities, they may take while clearly they are going to make a lot of money, and there's a lot of money now in it as opposed to maybe 10, 15 years ago. It has changed quite a bit. That's why more and more celebrities are delving into this field, the voiceover acting in animation film. They feel as it's just a few hours time where they don't have to put makeup on. They don't have to be prepared necessarily as if you're comparing it to an actual acting session or acting on set. They could roll out of bed in their PJs and they can stand in front of a mic and do what the producers and the directors are telling them to do by reading a script. Where it's just something that, it's easy. I'll make a few $1 million here just to stand there for a few hours. I'm going to do it similar to a commercial, a 30-second commercial. Directors are going to get these big-name celebrities to stand there for 30 seconds, do something, and then they get paid millions of dollars. Whereas professional voiceover talent, they focus on this. This is their life. They've went to school. They have a vocal coach. This is what they do. It's one thing to have celebrities doing what professional voiceover talents spend their life doing, whereas professional voiceover talents only have that and not acting. You know what I mean? It's one thing to have an actor be able to do both sides, but a professional voiceover actor or voiceover artist clearly got into that because maybe they have a passion, but also maybe because they couldn't be an actor or an actress. So that's where they're upset. That's where they're upset. And I understand exactly why they're upset.
Yeah.
Because this is their focus. This is their life, their passion. And if celebs are taking the reign from them, if they're taking if they're going to take their stuff, they're going to stand in the spotlight where the professional voiceover artists would like to stand, that limits the amount of work for them. But clearly you're going to probably be more engaged if the voiceover actor is Johnny Depp versus some no-name, yet professional. It's just because of PR purposes, marketing. And I know it's unfortunate, but that's unfortunately how it is.
Yeah, well, look what it did with Monsters, Inc. Would an adult go and watch that if it wasn't for John Goodman being in it? Probably not. Well, they might because of their kids wanting to watch it, but maybe not the adult. They're kind of playing two stones at one time because, shows like Bambi, when they come out, it wasn't an adult flick. People just took their kids, and that's it. They really didn't have any enjoyment. So you're then sitting there for 2 hours with nothing into it. But I understand that the voiceover industry is a difficult one, and trying to get your foot in the door is now going to be just as hard as it was if you were just going to go from one movie set, such as being on an on-screen movie. That's how difficult this has made it when they have crossed over into this arena. Look at Toy Story. What grossed for over $400 million on a cartoon, because you had the famous people that were in there, and that's what made it famous. I think that's what they're focusing on now is name. Nothing to do with talent per se, as far as someone training to come in there. They're actually focusing on a name. I'm not saying Tom Hanks is not talented. He's very talented. But people are focusing more on what draws them in, and I guess this is what's going to draw them in, is the big name actors.
Absolutely. It's similar to video games too.
True.
Video games that hire professional celebrities that voice projects in video games that enhance the game some more, in a sense that it's being done for marketing purposes. In other words, if it weren't for say Kiefer Sutherland, he was in a game. I'm trying to remember exactly what it was. Let me see if I have it up here. Call of Duty, World at War. I believe he voices one of the characters in the game. You're telling me that people aren't going to purchase Call of Duty World at War just because of Kiefer Sutherland? If it weren't for him, they wouldn't, maybe they would, even though it's a great game, but there are Kiefer Sutherland fans that may now join aboard because they have never played Call of Duty before. So they use it as a marketing ploy, and it works very well. However, this is where it helps to have a good marketing strategy for no-name professional voiceover artists, knowing exactly how to market your name. Clearly, the celebs, they have a step up because they're big names and they have a team that's marketing them. Whereas no-name professional voiceover artists, they have to more than likely market themselves, get a website, use social media, literally get your name around. Now, while there's quite a big gap between the celeb and the professional voiceover artists, you don't necessarily want to throw them out for the count in terms of literally competing against a David versus the Goliath story here. In other words, you don't want to call them out for the count because they can spread their reputation. They can get their name out there thanks to sites like YouTube, thanks to the internet. All it takes is for your talent to catch on and your video becomes viral on YouTube, and boom. Look at Ted Williams. He was literally homeless one day and was on a television show the next. It's great to see that because this guy is just a regular voiceover artist with a great voice, and now he's famous. So you have to catch a little luck. You have to know how to market yourself, And take it from me as a voiceover artist. Now, I have a bit of luck behind. Oh, I was lucky to be able to get feature time on a very prominent video streaming service such as Stickam.com, whereas I can show my talents by hosting shows while talking about my voiceover career, and I've broadcast in front of over 5 million people alone on Stickam. So that helps right there. Social media, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and other streaming sites like Justin.tv, Ustream, and so forth. All of these sources, all of these tools are used to further one's career. And I think we need to use these tools the way they're supposed to be used, and in ways that maybe they're not supposed to be used. Not necessarily abuse it in a bad way, but maybe stretch it out a bit. You know what I mean?
True. Plus, there's also ways, just like in the acting arena, you can go in when you're an extra, a movie extra. You still, and then there's, I can't even think of the guy's name, but he's a professional extra. He's not even a movie star, nothing, but he's recognized as being in behind the scenes as a movie extra. The same thing when you have the cartoons that you put on in the type of industry. Disney does the same thing. They actually have the extras in their videos, their movies, that you can also be found. But they have the tryouts are actually on their site. All you have to do is just go onto the site, submit a video, and then you're posted into as an extra, believe it or not, on a cartoon.
Yep.
Doing the voiceover.
Absolutely. Now, we're going to move into the associations in just a second. But when you talk about some of the popular animated films, and Ronnie brought up Robin Williams in Aladdin. What about The Lion King? What about Lion King with Matthew Broderick? Whoopi Goldberg's also in the also voicing a character, one of the hyenas. James Earl Jones as the infamous Mufasa.
Yeah.
You know, first off, James Earl Jones, one of the most notorious voiceover actors in all of voiceover in the whole. If you're a professional voiceover artist, more than likely you look up to James Earl Jones because of his prominent nature. It's just Mel Gibson in Pocahontas, another very popular animated film that caught on. And then Toy Story and Tom Hanks. It just, these are animated films that, because of the names behind them, definitely helped these films succeed. That if it weren't for these actors and actresses, would the films be as popular today? Well, they'd probably still be popular because you like to think of a movie, even though it's animated, to have a good plot, a good storyline, and it can carry along. But similar to a non-animated film, that you go to see a movie because there's a specific actor or a specific actress in that movie that presents you the opportunity and the intrigue and the interest for you to go visit the theater to go see the movie, and that spurs a marketing push from the movies. All right.
Yeah.
We got to head into the associations on this 269th episode of the show. So we're going to start off with one from Ronnie. I know you've got quite a few over there, so you want to start us off with one, Ronnie?
On May 10th, 2009, they had a 24-hour World Series of bird watching, JJ. This is actually in New Jersey.
Watching.
Bird watching. Yay.
Interesting.
However, during that 24-hour period, they discovered 269 bird species in New Jersey.
In New Jersey alone. Yeah, you know, I can tell you, I look out my kitchen window every morning, and I see different birds all the time. I could tell you we do have a lot of different bird species in New Jersey. I'm telling you. Because it's interesting that you brought that up, but we really do. I look out my kitchen window, and there's a few different birds every morning. It's like crazy to see it. They're beautiful, whether they're red, whether they're blue, whether they're black, whether they're white. They're different bird species all the time. They're just beautiful to look at. So
they are. I just don't think I could sit there for 24 hours and count the birds.
I'm not a bird watcher, but people that are, it's just like anything else. You have a passion for it. They're beautiful to look at. People like to like the science behind it. It's so much more than just watching birds. They do it because they like it, and that there's scientific references behind it too. They like to study maybe the birds too, but it depends. There's different different scenarios. But thank you for that great association, Ronnie. All right, I've got one for you. And if you're a daredevil, you'll love this one. You will. Although I would not recommend you do this because, well, it could be quite dangerous. But the fact is, this famous stunt driver by the name of Travis Pastrana, he set a new world record. Yeah, he jumped while in a rally car 269 feet from the mainland on barges in the water. You believe this? You have to look at the video, and I will post it on the website, www.vonthenet.com, for those of you that would like to catch it. Travis Pastrana, if you want to catch it right now, just go to YouTube, or if you want to go to vonthenet.com, more than likely it is there. But the fact is that he jumped 269 feet in a car, rally car, that is, and he's a stunt driver, a famous stunt driver, set the new world record in his Subaru STI Impreza.
Ouch. Could you imagine the landing on that thing?
Yeah, that must hurt. He literally, as he was jumping over, he had to brake, and he slid out and bumped into the wall, and the camera went bonkers when he banged into the wall, because clearly he was going at a quick speed, I believe, at 146 kilometers an hour. That's pretty fast.
Ooh. Imagine how that feels when your airbags deploy, if he had them in there. Ooh.
Yeah.
So it's about 250 miles an hour alone coming out of your steering wheel.
Yeah, it just it's just when you watch these things, you're like, who would do this? But these are stunt drivers, stunt devils, daredevils, and that's what they live for. They live for the rush. And while it may not necessarily be safe, they take the safest precautions in a very dangerous situation that they can, probably by protecting the stunt driver as well as they can in the car. And then you just wish upon a star and hope you don't die in the meantime.
Yeah.
So
ooh, now that's the end of the world right there.
There you go. All right. What about some funny laws? Do you have any for us over there, Ronnie?
I have one that's going to make you go, how does this work?
They all do.
The state of Kansas is state code 14-268-26B. If two trains meet on the same track, okay, same track, two trains.
Yeah.
Neither shall proceed until the other one has passed.
Neither should proceed until the other one passed. So if they meet on the same track, that's
Same
one
track.
One track.
One track facing each other.
How is that
Neither
even,
one can move until the
that,
other one has passed.
How is that possible, though?
That's what I want to know. I was like, well, that's how does that work?
How are you going
one
to...
track, there's no other track.
That doesn't make much sense. Usually, when it comes to a train, and I guess this happens every now and then, where a train will get off of a different track, and then they'll be going towards another train. So they stop. They're literally facing each other. How are you going to have to back the train up and hope that there's a part of the track that can shift onto another track so they can then move on their merry way? But then again, you would hope the technology that has been developing and advancing would at least improve those conditions where trains wouldn't be facing each other, maybe?
I know.
Like, come on now. Seriously.
Supposed to pass.
Wow. That's one that...
maybe it's scissors, rocks, paper, and we'll see who goes first.
I wouldn't want to be on a train facing another one. I would not want to... That's a very rare situation, but I guess anything is possible, as we have probably learned, many of us, right? Well, thank you for the funny law, Ronnie. I'm going to give you one more, then we're going to move into Ronnie's stamp of reparation. I can't wait to see what Ronnie, or hear what Ronnie has to say. But Vimeo, we know Vimeo, a very popular video sharing website where users could share, they could upload, and they could view videos. It was founded back in 2004, and since 2004, it has grown quite a bit. Yeah. This was back in, I believe the last time this was conducted, to find out just how much the traffic has grown since 2004. Back in 2010, Vimeo gained a video market share of up to 269%. Yeah, a 269% growth on the internet. And seeing that video is becoming a major factor on the net, yeah, there's there's quite good reason why there's a lot of traffic being sent to Vimeo or YouTube or Metacafe or Dailymotion. These popular video websites are clearly seeing traffic increases because of the video boom, the online video boom, that is. And you know what? I'm glad this is the case. I'm glad that more and more people are taking to the internet. I guess it can't have any reason. It can't have any reasoning behind the fact that we stream media regularly, maybe? Yeah, I like that. I like that. I'm happy. I like to see that. I like to hear that. I do.
Same here.
Yeah.
So, there's always a good thing all this time. All these little associations we have. Comes right back to us.
No, absolutely. In the month of July 2010, the numbers for Vimeo broke the 11 million mark, unique visitors. 11,756,662 unique visitors in July of 2010, which was, I believe, when this was conducted, this research. 269% increase over dailymotion.com, metacafe.com. And the thing is, seeing that you notice video is so popular on the internet, it's probably beneficial to include video on your website. Just a little tip from JJ here. All right, we're going to get into Ronnie's stamp of reparation. Looking forward to what you have to say. But first, it is time to thank our sponsor. Yep, this portion of the 269th episode of Take Two is brought to you by Audible.com, and we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program as well as the Voices on the Net network. Now, with over 85,000 audiobooks to choose from, 85,000 and counting. Each and every day, there's new ones being added. Ronnie and I have one heck of a deal for you where you do not have to spend 1 cent, 1 dime. Nope. All you need to do to receive one free audiobook as well as a 2-week free trial, a 14-day free trial to browse the 85,000 plus audiobooks is go to audibletrial.com/take2. Yeah, audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this great offer. You will be glad you did, because the auditory experience is one for itself. It is unique in itself because while you listen to music, while you watch television, basically converge or combine those two and you get yourself an audiobook. You're listening to media on your computer or your MP3 player, or you're watching television because you're actually visually watching something. This is listening, but if you close your eyes, you're watching what you're listening to. The voiceover actors, what they do, and we were just talking about voiceover actors, voiceover artists that voice movies. Well, voiceover artists, these are professional, and you'll notice that there are celebrities that do voice these books, these projects on Audible, at audible.com. They do their part by making the books interesting to listen to. They engage you. They had the dramatics. They had a dramatic feel or a comedic feel to these books, and make them so much more engaging for you. Try it out. I think you'll like it. I think Ronnie and I think you'll like it. We're confident. audibletrial.com/take2. You have nothing to lose. One free audiobook, a 14-day free trial. You will be glad you did. As always, we thank Audible for their support of Take Two as well as the Voices on the Net network. All right, Ronnie, you've got a few minutes here for your stamp, so take it home. You've got the mic.
Oh, cool. This is coming strictly from the Rolling Stones. The Rolling Stone magazine. It's on the internet. Just go in there and look at this. I mean to tell you, this is probably the best story. Even though it's short, it actually brings a lot of truth to what we recently have experienced here as far as conspiracy theory. This is the last time I'm going to hit on this because it really ticks me off to see some of these conspiracy theories. And most of them come from actual events that have occurred to where they do not believe that the actual process of investigating a case, such as 9/11, investigating what happened, they can see what happened, hear what happened, know what happened, and actually probably lived through what happened, and still place a conspiracy theory out there as to the opponent, as to what you believe in and what you don't. Mm-hmm. It basically falls on deaf ears. But in this article, it actually brings out a really great question. And that is, are we a paranoid nation, and how conspiracy theories, not conspiracies, conspiracy theories are destroying this country? And it's not just this country. It destroys England. There's a lot of conspiracy theories from over there. Like they could adopt Princess Diana when she was killed. You actually watch what happens, but they don't bring in any real life, something that's going to sink your teeth into theory after it happens. And then that does come from our government to a degree where they hide information. They have a history of hiding information and keeping people in the dark. But now with as much technology that we have the internet, you have the ability to actually go to the government themselves and seek the information that you want. Even though there's a door that's closed, doesn't mean that you don't get a chance to open them back up. The courts have now very lenient on the Freedom of Information Act of being able to get this information out. Number one theory conspirator, Mr. Jones, Alex Jones, as a matter of fact, seems to be the leader of this. He even openly admits, that what he puts out there is not truth. It's just entertainment. Well, you know, the entertainment is destroying this country. We have President Obama. I mean, he's tried to make strides. I mean, I try to give him a chance. And in what he does, he has his theories. I have mine. He has his beliefs. I have mine.
Right.
But does that mean that he is out there to seek revenge on us as a nation? And that's what some of these conspiracy theories do. So when there is actual something that's going to happen to this country, they ignore it. They start putting people into danger. We've had several incidences where people have gone out, bought the weapons. Let's look at the senator from Arizona that was shot because of a theory. The shooter believed these theories that you have on YouTube, and those that subscribe to these theories are actually added onto it. They don't have any fact, but they can twist a fact and place it out there and present it as truth. People nowadays just do not want to research. They do not want to find out what is true.
No.
9/11. There is NIST reports. You can go through the congressional hearings, watch them live again on YouTube, the very same place that the conspiracy theories are usually
what they
generated.
what they do is they quote some 5-minute video on YouTube.
That's right.
And then they feel their theory is correct.
That's right. They don't utilize actual research.
Right.
They use each other, refer to each other. They will make a video on anything, and of course, Photoshop. They will do that. Okay, let's think about the Pentagon. The Pentagon. We watched this live. We saw all the plane material all over the ground and stuff, and now you have people come out there. Well, there really was no debris. We didn't see no debris. Did you see any debris? There was no plane. It was a missile. They've placed so much badgering on us. 9/11 did occur. It was not photoshopped. It was not some kind of media conspiracy.
Right.
Will happen again if people don't live and learn from history. And this is just placing that block. So, the Rolling Stones has it right, although they're being downplayed because, it's the Rolling Stones is not actually a media source. They think it more of entertainment. But they asked a great question, and they hit it on the head. Anybody can go to YouTube and look at this, the theories. Just look up conspiracy theories, and then it just runs rampant.
Wow, yeah.
But they can't take it into real life. You don't see this happening in real life.
Right.
The theories have now justified solely based on the YouTube agenda. But you have places like, the PETA conspiracies. You have FEMA. The camps are going to take us apart. Look how much that conspiracy theory actually played a part in the recent one where, the end of the world was going to happen. And they brought FEMA, who actually helps disaster victims, have become the center of an atrocity. They can't even get help from the people to support them because of the conspiracy theories. So, yeah, it is a paranoid nation. I think we are living in a paranoid nation and these types of theories, although we can't do anything about the theories besides try and prove them wrong. And they're still not going to listen to you. You can present evidence right in front of their face or take them back on time and stand in right in the middle, and they're still not going to believe it.
Right.
That's how honed in they are on these theories.
That's why a theory is, mainly in referral to contemplation or speculation and definition. That's exactly why. So you take it with a grain of salt. You don't believe it, don't believe it. You believe it, keep your beliefs necessarily to yourself because that's exactly what it is, a theory. If you don't know for sure, shut your mouth. If you know for sure, then you have scientific evidence or you have actual proof that the theory is true. But then again, it wouldn't be a theory then because simply contemplation or speculation. Everybody has freedom of speech. But when I noticed these 9/11 conspirators spreading this negative word to everybody, it's like that's where it goes a bit too far. I'm not saying, you're not going to be able to tell, your friend or somebody random, but if they don't want to hear it, Stop. Don't continue to go on. All right. We have to go to the break. Thank you. Great stamp of reparation. We always look forward to what you have to say, Ronnie. All right. Before we get to the break, though, what I want to let you know is I'm going to tease you a bit what we're going to be going into in the second segment. An interesting study that shows what one's college major is worth. Yeah. It's one thing to go to college because, let's face it, it's not the easiest thing in the world. You have to dedicate time to college. You do. It's another thing to pick the right major. Yeah. What if you pick a major that isn't worth a lot of money? Well, I thought college was supposed to make you money regardless of what field you took. Well, yeah, but there are obviously, and it's not like we didn't know about this, clearly there are majors that will make you more money. There are fields out there that will pay you more money. Regardless of what major you take, more than likely you'll make more money than if you didn't have a college degree. But do you want to make the most money in whatever field is up there at the top? Or is passion going to play more of a role? And you're going to think of it as, okay, I'm going to focus on the field I'm interested in, passionate about, and at least I'll make, even if it's only $5,000 or $10,000 more dollars a year, it's still $5,000 or $10,000 more dollars than I would have made if I didn't have a college degree. There are multiple ways to think about this. Ronnie and I are going to go into quite a few of them. Also, Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has decided to allow those under the age of 13 years old or 13 years of age to join Facebook if they want. Good idea or not good idea? Well, Ronnie has, I'm sure, quite a bit to say about this, as do I. You're not going to want to go anywhere. Your blast from the past also coming up at the end of the program. This is episode number 269 of Take Two, one away from the next mini milestone. Don't go anywhere. Ronnie and I return right after the break. And we're back. That is right. Ronnie and I have returned for the second segment on this 269th episode of the show. That is right. 269th episode of Take Two right here on You Got It, ladies and gents, the Voices on the Net Network. And it is great to be back as always because we have so much to talk about. We really do, Ronnie and I. And, well, the blast from the past is also coming up at the end of the program. You don't want to miss that either. We're going to get into all of the good stuff in just a hot moment. But before we do that, it is time to plug the network. You know, we have to send a little plug out there. But, yeah, you know, it's all in good, all in good anticipation that you're going to receive great content. And you know that. We know that. We're confident. How's that? This is the Voices on the Net Network after all, right? All right, but before we move on, if all of you would be so kind, would you please visit www.theonthenet.com. That is right, the Voices on the Net Network's website, where you, the great listeners, will be able to find more information pertaining to the Voices on the Net Network. All you need to do is go up to the top of the website, where you will see an About link. You click it, where you will arrive at a web page that will provide you everything you need to know regarding the network in thorough detail. Now, you could also check out, and probably the greatest features on the website, if Ronnie and I say so ourselves, the podcasts. Yeah. The podcasts of any of the episodes from any of the shows, all available on demand for and at your very own convenience. And you can check all of these great features out by going to www.theonthenet.com. So, welcome back, Ronnie. How are you?
Thank you.
Yeah. How was your break? Good? No good? Good.
Good.
Cool down?
Cooled off.
Yeah.
Cooled off. Sit in front of the air conditioner, cooled off.
Oh. That's what I did. I turned the air unit on high. And
yeah.
I turned it on high, went down to 60 degrees, just so I could cool the place off. You know, we have a little over 5 minutes, about a 5-minute break. So I like to cool it off for that 5 minutes, and then for the next 30 to 35 minutes, I'll hopefully be able to handle it without sweating. Yeah. But yes, it is comfortable in here right now. But ask me that question 20 minutes later and see what my answer is going to be. More than likely going to be a sticky sauna in here. Mm-hmm. But we do have quite a bit to talk about on this 269th episode of the show, the second segment. So what do you say, Ronnie? We start things off with this one right here, something that I am very interested in going into because of the fact that I'm in college, and so are you, and I happen to be majoring in something that is third on the list in terms of how much I could be making after I graduate college. I'm a business major in college. A study. Yep. What else is new? A study that shows what a student's major is worth. Yeah, out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A study, or a report, in other words, by Georgetown University in Washington also found that majors are highly segregated by race and gender, along with in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, finding out that, well, certain majors are worth noticeably more than others. Ronnie, what do you have to say about this in the two different locations, one focusing on race and gender, the other focusing more on worth, the segregation aspect of it, too? Where do you lie? Where does your opinion lie here?
Well, you know, what really gets me, it depends on what year it is. It's whatever trend happens to be out there. Because if you have they start with you at high school level, hounding you, what do you want to be when you grow up? So they kind of compare what classes you're going to need to take to get to that point.
Right.
But if you look at let's use the medical industry, for instance. I know when I was in nursing school, medical industry was the top one of the list at that time. Plus, it also depends on where you are in the country, because one division of the country might need, the high enders, and in the middle of the country, something else might take precedence, like agriculture or so forth. But they tend to focus on what is popular at the time, and what the medical industry at that time was popular. You were guaranteed a job when you got out. Colleges, most of them, would guarantee you a job in the medical industry. But now, I have someone who graduated, got their 4-year degree, spent all this money to get the 4-year degree as a registered nurse, trying to go on to be a physician's assistant. And do you know,
right,
all of a sudden, what was popular and what was the best as far as income-wise when you got into the field 4 years ago when she first started taking the degree is not so popular, and very seldom is there now any positions open because everybody kind of massed influenced into that particular area of interest. Not that it interested them, but it was mostly because they thought that the job prospect was there. Not so much anymore. Now it's kind of twist and turn, and now we're on to something else. I don't think we should always focus on how much they think is going to bring you in this type of income, because they might state that, let's just use technology. Technology is going to bring this in, or, agriculture is going to bring this in. Bioscience is going to bring this in. Everybody starts at the bottom. I don't care what type of degree you graduate, the 4-year degree, you're still starting at the bottom of the totem pole when you get into that business. And it's going to depend on how fast you can move up, and it's going to be a continued education that you're going to have to continually work with it. But if you're not interested in the field and you're only interested in the money, you're going to get bored with it. You're not going to go as far as you think you're going to go. It just depends on where you are, where the economy is at the time, and what is out there present-wise. And, with our economy today, I don't think any college can go out there and state what is going to be the best profession, because everybody is trying to get into these professions. And you're not going to make money right away. I don't care if you have a graduate degree. The money is not going to be there. I think it's going to depend on what your heart says you're going to do.
Well, there's clearly going to be competitive value in college.
Definitely.
You're going to have competition no matter where you go in life. The job force, college, or whether you're in high school even, or middle school. You're going to compete for the best grade. You're going to compete for the best starting salary. You're going to compete for the raise. You're going to compete here. You're going to compete there,
all of it,
et cetera, et cetera. The paucity of, say, certain fields in college that are, say, less dearth than another one, in other words, scarce, because certain fields are more pertinent than others. Clearly, certain fields may be so unpopular that if there's 10 or 15 students majoring, that's a lot in that specific field. Yet it may make more money than a field that is 100 to 200 times more popular than it. And that's what's interesting about this study here. That's what's intriguing about this study, because according to this report, it states that college, and this is something I also want to add here, college graduates overall make 84% more over a lifetime than those only with a high school diploma or equivalent. Now, the study also added that further analysis of 171 majors shows that various undergraduate majors can lead to significantly different median wages. And that's 171 in its own category, and then subcategories that are dividing those majors by median wage. And it's a significant divisor. It really is. If you look at the numbers, and I have some of the numbers in front of me. You have it too. You have the median earnings by major group, and it goes from engineering to computers and mathematics to business to physical sciences to law and public policy to arts to education to the low end of the totem pole, psychology. And look at psychology and the amount of money, the median earnings by major group in the psychology field, and look how popular psychology is. $42,000. That's piddly. When you're talking about what you could make, that's nothing. When you could be making, as an engineer and as an engineering major, you could be making $75,000 median wage, median earnings, if you think about it.
True. But psychology also is a basis, just like a majority of your college classes when you graduate with a 4-year degree.
But understand,
is
Ronnie,
the basis of another one.
It's a median wage. Understand that. Median wage, okay? So that's pertaining to the median of it. Psychology only making $42,000 with a bachelor's degree. If you have a graduate's degree, you tend to make $60,000. But in the engineering field, if you have a bachelor's degree, you're going to make $75,000 versus a graduate's that's going to make just under $100,000 at $99,000.
It's a big difference. But do you go to college because you're focusing on what the income potential is, or are you focusing on what your interests are?
Well, that's
if you're just focusing on the money part of it, what you're thinking about as far as recouping the costs of what you spend on college. And you're spending the first 3 or 4 years of working once you graduate, paying back college. Depends on how much help you received at the time of going to college. But then you have also incorporate where you have to be at in these businesses, such as engineering. Usually you have to know somebody to get in there. It requires, such as the Corps, to be into the Corps, to be into engineering. It just it's a science. Where they are as far as is going to be a government potential. Depends on if you're hired by the state. Are you hired by the federal government? Are you a private industry? I mean, this is just a baseline. But if you were, let's just use the East Coast. If engineering making this much money after a 4-year degree makes such and such on the East Coast. Cost of living's differently. They're going to make different. If you're in the Midwest, that's going to be considerably lower. Cost of living is a lot lower.
Right.
And I don't know if they've equated this into that, but you also have to equate how many people are actually into that field and where they are as far as that particular industry, because you're still just getting your foot in the door. A 4-year degree, definitely lots better than a high school diploma.
Right. But
as far as that 4-year degree also equates to your graduate degree. You're going on to get your doctor's degree.
But also note this. And you would think originally, I want to go back to what you stated about the income that somebody's making when they're focusing on getting their degree in a specific field. You'd think it would be, you would think it'd be prosaic in terms of just common knowledge. I want to go to college to make the most money I can make. But you also bring up the fact that passion plays a part too. Yeah. If you talk about going into psychology because you want to help people, you want to go into the education field because you want to help people, you want to teach people. After all, it's our educators that shape the foundation of our future. If it weren't for, say, the educators, where would we be? So we want good teachers. You would think the education field would be a lot higher because we are, after all, shaping, as educators, the future. Yet the education field's only breaking the $40,000, maybe the $40,000 mark, $42,000 median wage right there. Median wage of $42,000 if you have a bachelor's degree, just under $60,000 at $57,000 with a graduate's degree. And note this too, Ronnie, that it costs money to go to college. So you're going to pay money to go to get your bachelor's degree. You're going to pay even more money to go to graduate school. So you're going to have to pay those loans off, and that also is incorporated into the picture here. And that's, I think, something that the people, when they decide, I could make maybe half of what I would make after graduating college with a high school diploma, or I could take out loans, I'll have to pay them back, while possibly making double, if not more, after I get my degree. Do I want to focus on the short-term success of it or the long-term success of it? And that's where you have to focus right there. That's where my focus is. While I have paid money, while I am going to have to pay back the loans that I took out to go to college, maybe the first few years I won't make much money after college, after I'm done with college. But come back to me 10 years later and see where I'm at. Because those loans are more than likely going to be paid off, seeing that I am in the business field. And according to these statistics here, the median earnings by major group, business majors with a bachelor's make $60,000. So, I think after 10 years, if I'm making that, I'll be fine with that degree. So it just goes to show you that you have to think strategically. You have to think of colleges. While it's an education, they're in it to make money, too. It's a business for them. So they're making money, giving you the possibility of making whatever is in the median earnings by major group, but the potential rather than the possibility to make money. Even after, say, 3, 5, 10, 15 years, you add that up, you're going to be quite higher than the loans you were taking out to go to get that education.
Yeah, but also a lot of the businesses, when you have your 4-year degree, usually it requires to receive rank or promotion requires that 4-year degree.
Right.
But once you receive that, there's a lot of employers out there in the industries, in a lot of the industries, that actually support the tuition. So if you go on to graduate school, which is the next step,
and they'll pay for
following that, they will pay for that.
Right.
And that's almost like, so you're basically signing yourself over. So you're signing yourself over to somebody at some point in time, whether it be the government to pay off these loans or your employer. You're guaranteed a certain specific amount of time of being there.
But you hope that your employer. But you hope your employer's on the side, not the government.
Yeah, you hope. That's what's going on.
You hope, yeah.
Yeah. But with the economy the way it is right now, I don't see how they can figure out, because a lot of industries are actually consolidating and getting rid of those that are making the high dollar and bringing in those that, entry-level positions to where you just start out, whether you be a 4-year degree or are you, a 2-year degree even with your associates, that they are narrowing down those positions. And so, that income earning potential is going to be a little slacking. I mean, there's also benefits involved that probably are not included within that income range, because a lot of your income that you come out there that they put into some of these studies also includes what are your benefits. But one thing I was really looking at on there is the law. That's my area of there with criminology and so forth. There's so many parts of the industry that with law, I mean, you're going to tell me a lawyer is only making $60,000. No, I think it depends on what you're doing with your degree. How good are you at what you do? Whether or not you're into business, into engineering, or you're into law. It depends, I think, how good are you? Just because you're going in there because you think the money is the big thing, well, is money going to be the big and sole driver? I think you have to have it in your heart and soul to be able to do these things and be passionate about your work. That brings you out there. That brings out the more potential income probabilities that you have, besides what this study states, which is actually by a college, which is Georgetown University.
Right.
So do they have a little bit of play in there? Yeah, probably. But those classes, talk about engineering, those are expensive classes. Those are a lot of core classes, the math classes that have to be entered into the arena. Those are more expensive courses.
No, it's great to hear that there's the potential to make decent money in many fields out there after going to college, because even though college is great, education should never cease to exist, in my opinion, and it should, and in just about any of you, and all of you that are listening, I would hope that education stays in your lives, absolutely. That there's some negative, some poor, some bad light shined on colleges because they feel it's a scam. You're paying all of this money, and you're not going to make diddly squat.
Yeah.
But you got to understand that there has to be a bit of a proactive nature on your part after you get that college degree. I want to make that known, and I'm a sophomore in college as I speak, and I already know that I'm not going to be given anything, that I'm going to have to go out and work for it, even after even after I get my associates and then my bachelor's degree. So the fact is that you have to be proactive. You have to be willing to want to take it and go with it. Because it's not going to necessarily be given to you. You have to be willing to take what you're going to work for, in other words. That's what I'd meant to say. That may sound a bit counterintuitive in itself, but it really isn't if you think about it, because you're going to college knowing, okay, I have the potential to make this much money. Now, if I have the potential, how do I get from point A to point B? I have the tools. Let's do what I have to do to get from point A to point B. And that's really what college education is revolved around, and so much more. You're also going to meet people. There are other things you're going to get from a college education, just not the education aspect of it. There's much more. Now, going into some of the other amounts of money these majors will potentially provide to you. We're going to move into the next item on the itinerary after I go over a few of these here. The engineering field, if you have a bachelor's, you'll make $75,000 median. These are median earnings by major group, by the way. $75,000 in the engineering group, $99,000 if you are a graduate. If you have a graduate's degree, or if you had after graduate school. Computers and mathematics, if you have a bachelor's degree, and $70,000 out of graduate school, $89,000. Business, we have $60,000 if you have a bachelor's, and out of graduate school, $80,000. Now let's go over to law and public policy. If you have a bachelor's degree, you'll make $50,000, and if you are out of graduate school, $70,000. And one more, we'll talk about biology and life science, an important field right there. $50,000 if you have a bachelor's, and $85,000 out of graduate school. So a pretty big difference right there of $35,000 between the bachelors and the graduates. And that goes to show you, those numbers should show you that the competition is so fierce that everybody has that or better in terms of a bachelor's degree, that maybe going to graduate school, getting your master's may not be a bad idea, because it is very competitive out there. And I think we all know that. Hopefully you know that. Hopefully you know that you're going to, even though you go to college, there's going to be competition out there. All right. We do have to go into the next item on the itinerary, Ronnie. I know I'd like to spend even more time on this, but we are pressed for time. So we're going to focus on Facebook. Yep, Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, is, allowing 13 years of age and under children to join the service, the social networking service. And there are some people that are not too happy about it. Well, where do I stand? Where does Ronnie stand? We're going to talk about it in just a bit, but before we get into that, it is time to thank our sponsor. Yep. This portion of the 269th episode of Take Two is brought to you by none other than, you got it, Audible.com. And we thank Audible for their generous support of the Take Two program, as well as the Voices on the Net Network. Now listen up, because Ronnie and I have one heck of a deal for you that, you don't even have to spend a dime. You don't have to spend 1 cent. And the deal is so great because Audible is great. It really is. 85,000 audiobooks and counting. Always adding new audiobooks. Always. Day after day. You'll receive one free audiobook as well as a 14-day free trial to browse the 85,000 plus audiobooks offered at Audible. And remember, you don't have to spend a cent. But to receive that deal, the great offer, you have to visit audibletrial.com/take2. Yep, audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this great offer. You will definitely be glad you did, because the auditory experience is unique in itself, because you're not traditionally reading a book word for word. You have headphones on, or you're listening via speakers. You're listening to somebody read to you. Similar to, say, sitting in the classroom, listening to a lecturer speak about what you just read in your darn textbook, yet you still gain something different from it. And I think Ronnie knows exactly what I'm talking about, because there's usually, from what you read in a textbook, more to learn. Just because you read something in a book or a magazine doesn't mean you're getting everything from what you're reading. Sometimes there's more to it. Actually, most of the time there's more to it. Reading, or being read to, sometimes gives you a little extra. Maybe on the emphasis of the voice, maybe on how it's being read. You don't even have to listen to specific words, just the tonation. You have to check this out, I'm telling you. And the voiceover artists, they add so much more than just a monotonous voiceover artist reading something to you. It's so much more. The drama, the comedic value, the auditory retainment. Try it out. One free audiobook, a 14-day free trial. What do you have to lose? You don't have to spend a dime. Audible.com or audibletrial.com/take2. Audibletrial.com/take2 to take advantage of this offer. As always, we thank Audible for their support of the Take Two program, as well as the Voices on the Net network. All right. Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg has decided, Ronnie, to allow those under the age of 13 to join Facebook if they would like. Now, there are people that are not too happy with this, parents too, but there are people that feel, oh, so what? You know, they're going to experience the internet at 13 or under anyway, so why not allow them to join Facebook rather than breaking the rules? You have millions that already do so anyway, so allow them. You feel that parents should be protecting their kids regardless of whether a founder is allowing them to join their site or not. The founder is not being irresponsible here. I have quite a bit to say about this, but I do want to hear what you have to say. What are your opening statements regarding this and Mark Zuckerberg's decision in allowing those under the age of 13 to join the service, the social networking service?
It's funny how he utilizes the word allowing to do so, but they've been on there for some time. They falsified their age. Even the parents have allowed them to be on there. The parents are part of the Facebook agenda as well. They're also, the same people that he's talking about, the same age group, is on MySpace. They're on the Twitter already. They're already out there in the social media. They just falsified their age to get on a few clicks because there's no age verification to get on to these sites. So there's no such thing as allowing. But I'm kind of odd about how people are ridiculing Facebook and holding Facebook responsible when it's actually the parents' agenda that should be held accountable, whether or not, because you are the final sayer of whether or not your kids are going to be on Facebook. Either you don't allow it or you do allow it, or you're going to be on there and you're going to monitor the security. It's just probably the biggest, I think, concern that I would have would be the security issues. I mean, we have how many adults on there and still security is a little bit laxed. But I think it's time to hold the parents accountable. Why should the parents be blaming Facebook? He's allowing something that's already occurred, has been occurring, and you don't see any. I think he recognized that it's not going to stop. You can't stop these kids from being on there. They're going to be on there anyway. But as a parent, they need to be on there and figure out what your kids are doing. Just don't say, oh, hey, and leave the room and nothing's being monitored, and then you blame somebody else because you didn't take the proactive stance. I think that's where it stands, is between the parents and Zuckerberg. I don't think that he should be held accountable, but the parents shouldn't be blaming him either.
Right. No, I can agree with you more right there. Actually, I'm quite surprised with what you had to say there. I thought you were going to take the other route and saying this is crazy for allowing 13 years of age and under children to join the service. No, I'm totally for the fact that the Facebook founder decided to open it up. Not necessarily saying, okay, let's have every 10-year-old,
right,
9-year-old, 8-year-old join the service. I'm just saying, why are you putting so much pressure on yourself, Mark, by not allowing when they're going to join it anyway? And if it is a problem, why should it necessarily be yours when you have over 550, 600 million people to cater to anyway on the service? Shouldn't it be on a parent-to-parent basis? We talk about large government versus small government. Well, you want to focus on the states rather than the large government. Great. I'm a conservative. Ronnie's a conservative. We feel small government is better. Well, let the states handle each of their group. How's that? New Jersey handles New Jersey citizens. California handles California citizens. Florida handles Florida citizens. Nebraska handles Nebraska citizens. It's just like that, in other words, rather than having one government, a large, maybe not necessarily a large, but a group of people handle everything. In other words, it's comparable to Facebook founder Mark Zuckerberg, literally leaving it in the parents' hands here. If the parents want their kids to join these social networking sites, well, let them join. But it's kind of lack of words there, because letting and doing are two different words. And the kids more than likely are going to do regardless of what the parents say, because parents can't be over their kids' shoulders 24/7. They don't know what they're doing at a friend's house. They don't know what they're doing at the library. They don't know what they're doing at school. So letting them do this is probably the right way to go forth with it. And then if kids under the age of 13 are doing, or anybody for that matter, doing things they're not supposed to be doing, Facebook takes care of it if it is at a severe level, obviously.
Right, but you can't. They need to hold the parents accountable. They can't be sit there blaming somebody else to raise their kids. I think that's kind of how society has turned into. They want somebody. They can't wait to have the kids, but yet they let somebody else raise them and make the decisions, and they don't hold themselves accountable. And I think that's where we've reached at thus far in society. Look at MySpace. You used to be the big time out there, but there's tons of kids on there. There's no age verification. Just, are you over 18? Click. Big deal. That's not actually doing anything. And the bigger thing is not allowing the computer to monitor you. You're monitoring the computer. There's different ways to take care of the kids, whether or not you give them access to the internet on their cell phone, for crying out loud. You're not going to be there to watch it. Everybody, all the kids, when you're out there, if you think about it, somebody knows somebody that's on Facebook. They're gone there for a reason. They're on there to explore and do what they do, and they're going to do it regardless of Mark or anybody else saying, okay, come on in, we're going to allow you. They've been on there all this time, so might as well open up the gates.
The thing is, Facebook is so big right now that it's all over the internet. And the decision by Mark to allow those, basically everybody now on Facebook, the decision to allow 13 years of age, their children under the age of 13 on Facebook, is in addition to Facebook being on literally every news site out there that these kids are going to use as they're researching certain things for school. They're going to like certain things. They're going to see Facebook everywhere. So they're going to be eyeing Facebook everywhere. Why don't you just allow them on the service and have the parents protect their kids like they're supposed to anyway? They're parents, all right? Yeah. And I'm looking at the comments here, and it no matter what the story is, it's always turned into a political debate. Liberals versus conservatives here. And that's what I can't stand. Why? Just because Mark Zuckerberg allows children under the age of 13 on Facebook, it has to be a liberal service. So what if Mark Zuckerberg is liberal or conservative? Just because children under the age of 13 are allowed on Facebook doesn't necessarily mean it's a liberal point of view. There may be conservatives that feel children under the age of 13 shouldn't be on Facebook, but if you're going to say that, then children under the age of 13 shouldn't be allowed on the internet. How's that? It's just... It's going to happen. The internet is a part of our lives. It's like getting in the car with your parents and going to the ice cream shop. It's like getting in the car with your parents and going to your local store. That's what the internet is. You're leaving your house to get into the real world. You're in your house on the internet in the real world. It's the way it is. I'm a conservative and I'm for this. Ronnie's a conservative and she is not against this. So stop making it into a political debate here. Because it's not. It's not. And if it is a political debate, then the blindness surrounding this is horrifying. Be naive, because the internet is in our lives. The digital age is upon us. And we're still in the youth ages, by the way, of the digital age here.
Yeah. I mean, even the school system utilizes Facebook.
Right.
Why single them out?
They utilize the internet.
There's a reason.
They utilize the internet.
I mean, there's even, there's sites out there that the kids shouldn't be on there, but they're going to be on there anyway. So it's just time for the parents to stand up and take actually their supervision responsibilities more seriously and stop blaming somebody else for their inconsistencies of being a parent. I mean, come on. Some people have left the television, remember, to raise their kids, and now it's the internet. Well, they're not actually doing that. It's the parents that are doing that. And some of these comments did kind of throw me off. You had one that was trying to claim that Facebook was contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I think, first of all, they need to look up the law on that, because that has nothing to do with this or an attractive nuisance. So that thereby that goes pretty much your whole entire computer system, does it not?
Right.
Or exploitation of a minor. Come on. That is not what's going on here. You need to take the bull by the horns. You have control over the security. You have control over the computer.
Right.
If this is what it is, if your child's on there, take some responsibility and stop blaming somebody else for your issues. If not, then maybe you should have been a parent in the first place.
Yeah, that's an argument in itself. Now, the poll here, before we move into your blast from the past, states that 17% of U.S. parents questioned in this poll stated they had no problem in the first place with a preteen child using a social media site, which was compared to just 8% a year ago. And 11% of parents admitted to using social media sites on behalf of a young child or infant. And as many as 7.5 million kids under the age of 13, are using the social networking service Facebook, despite, this was before Mark making this official, despite the company's official prohibition, and then 5 million under the age of 10. So that's over 10 million under the age of 13 right there that were using Facebook. So Mark was really forced to make a big decision here as to whether or not to allow those under the age of 13, whereas a majority of them were really, well, maybe not a majority, but a lot of them were using the service. Again, not everybody's under the age of 13. There are people that are 18 on the service. There are people that are 40. Yeah. There are people that are 80. So it's a large group of people.
It is. I want to make one statement, though. These same parents that are out there complaining about this, of course, are also members of Facebook.
Right.
How many photos do they have on their side of their kids?
True.
And they put, family members, the names of their kids, the pictures of their kids. Is that not the same thing? I mean, if they're worried about exploiting their children, I think they've already done that when they put their names and their pictures on their web pages.
Absolutely. No, I told you I agreed with you at the beginning, and I still do. Absolutely. Well, glad we went into this, and some news that we do talk about Facebook a bit, but it's kind of hard not to talk about Facebook because it is in our lives really all the time. So you really have to, and we do include quite a bit of tech on the show, just about anything else, but hope you enjoyed the dissection of that. Ronnie and I are professional dissectors here. All right, for episode number 269 of the show Take Two, right here on the Voices on the Net Network, it is time to go into the past. Ronnie, do you want to get into the time machine with me and head into the past?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Let's find out what's going on.
Yeah, this was the episode, this was the show where I had a very, very bad voice problem, of infection of some sort. My vocals were shot. So we're going to go back to that episode right here. So let's head into the past. Everybody in the time machine. Here we go, folks. Enjoy, folks. Here it is.
This is interesting.
Yeah,
when you have...
what do you do?
Yeah, I'm wondering, right? The fact is, I have friends. You have friends too, right, Ronnie?
Mm-hmm.
Now, usually, do you have trouble making friends, or is it a bit of a difficult task for you? Does it come easy?
I am selective on my friends. I mean, I have very few that are actually my best friends.
So in other
the
words,
rest are acquaintances.
So in other words, they require. So your friendships require work.
Yes.
Okay. Anyhow, Master of Divinity holder Shasta Nelson states in this interesting, well, I guess you could call it a survey or a study based on what this individual says or states, that friendships don't just happen. They don't. Meaning if you go up and randomly meet someone, that's not the case. Or it's very rare, okay? Master of Divinity holder Shasta Nelson feels that friendships require work, okay? That they require you to actually work to benefit from that friendship. Maybe that's the case, but to make a friend, that really requires work. Well, it's going to be interesting to hear what Ronnie has to say here, because you talk about the comparable love at first sight. Does that really require work? And love at first sight, is it really stating the truth there? You're meeting somebody because you're literally viewing them, love at first sight, and then you talk, and then that requires work, of course, but benefiting from a friendship requires work. But meeting people randomly, some people do it very naturally. I want to hear what you have to say about this, Ronnie, about friendships that don't just happen but require a bit of work to really benefit.
I'm going to use the example that they used with this particular story, because it does ring true.
Right.
How many students, when we start kindergarten, there's usually 35, 40 students that are placed with us. And as little as kindergartners, you start selecting those that you want, that you could be friends with. Right.
You're acquaintances with those that are in that particular group, but are you actually friends with those that are in that group? Because you base it on the personality stats. You base it on how they treat you. Sometimes you base it on the popularity in the class. Every kid wants to be popular, so you look for that person out. It just depends on that type of closeness, what you have in common. Who lives near you? Who has that common thread that you have? Now, does that require a lot more work? I think it requires more communication. Is communication work? Yes, because you got to figure out, is a message getting across? Is a message being received?
Absolutely.
Are you being perceived as who you are? So that in itself is classified as a work to learn who this person is. Because just because you meet somebody for the first time, you're not really, that first encounter, you're not really open. You're just feeling each other out.
Yeah.
As that friend, you're filling out, hearing their stories. Are they believable to you? Is this somebody that you can trust? What are their likes, their dislikes? You got to find that common ground. So that's where I think that the work comes into play, because just because you meet somebody, you can be they're called, a friend because you've met them now. You've introduced yourself. You're no longer strangers, so therefore you are an acquaintance. Yeah. But to work up on that stage, to be a friend or even a close best friend that you actually trust with everything that you are, that takes even more work.
Right. We go over the friends that we've had in the past. We go back when we were younger, the friends that we've had. How hard was it? How easy was it to get those friends? You only remember so much. You don't remember maybe the beginning part. I agree with this. I agree with you, too. Absolutely. Oof, my voice was horrible.
The soprano effect.
Oh, man. Then the listeners, they were emailing me after that show, Ronnie, telling me just how bad it was. They didn't want to lie to me, and I was literally talking. And I remember talking, it's not that bad. It doesn't sound that bad. But then, listeners were saying, that's bad. It was pretty bad. And yeah, it sounded pretty bad. And I had a pretty bad throat infection there, so horrible. Don't like that. That's not good for it's not good for a broadcaster. It's not good for a voiceover artist to have a throat infection. Put it that way.
Didn't sound like the JJ we knew, but it does sound like, a soprano tryout edition.
Yeah, I guess so. Pretty good there. But one of the many blasts from the past, one of the many discussions that Ronnie and I have delved into, and, to check out every single show, go to www.vonthenet.com and to check everything out. You'll be glad you did. Great website right there. All right. For the great network that you listen to. All right, we do have to go, though, Ronnie. It is time to go on this 269th episode of the show. But before you even have the chance to miss us the next time you hear us on the show, it's going to be the next mini milestone. So, yeah, big show coming up. Then again, every show is a big show. But what do you say we hightail it out here for now? But we'll be back, though, Ronnie.
Oh, we'll definitely be back.
Yeah, God willing, but we will. All right, until next time, we sadly have to say so long for now. Take care. Much love to you all. Bye-bye, everybody.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.